Hi, everyone. Welcome to Ad Age Remotely. I'm Janine Poggi, editor of Ad Age. Thank you so much for joining us. On today's episode, I am joined by Amani Duncan, CEO of BBH USA and Ad Age's Agency Executive of the Year. It's certainly been an eventful year so far for Duncan, who was named CEO of BBH USA in February. She had previously served as president of the agency and helped usher in and consolidate BBH's New York and Los Angeles offices to create the bicoastal shop. Duncan has helped grow the agency's headcount by 77% and landed new clients, including Netflix, Google, Walmart, LinkedIn, and Mattel. Hi, Amani.
Hi, Janine. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Very happy to be here.
First off, congrats on being named Ad Age's Agency Executive of the Year.
I I'm just so humbled by that. Every time someone says it to me, I have to take a moment and pause like, what? But thank you. I'm so humbled by this incredible honor. And I can't wait to raise a glass to everyone in a
Yeah,
few weeks at the
celebrate in
gala.
person. Yes, so we'll be
Exactly.
celebrating you and the team in person later this month, which is very exciting for sure. Before we get started in our conversation, for those of you watching at home, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them on our social channels. We'll try to get to them during this conversation. And if you like what we're doing here on Ad Age Remotely, please like, subscribe, share, or retweet this post. So it's really been a big year for you. You became CEO really early on in February, kicking off the year. What's that been like?
It's been incredible. It's really exceeded my expectations. I often tell people I feel I've been walking towards the agency of Black Sheep my entire career. That everything that I've done and gone through previously has led me and prepared me to walk confidently into this role. It's a dynamic agency with the most incredible, illustrious history. So it is truly my honor to be one of the leaders of the new BBH USA.
And BBH obviously has gone through a massive change with the New York and Los Angeles offices consolidating. Can you walk us through that process and that transition?
Absolutely. I started back in September of 2020 during COVID. So that's a whole conversation in and of itself. When I started, the leadership trio was complete. I joined my partner, Hafa Risotto, our incredible chief creative officer, and our then CSO, Tom Callard. And we stood in front of the agency and we told them that greatness awaits, and we put our heads down and we just got busy. And then our global leadership team, BBH's global leadership team, about in Q1 of 2021, had tapped us and asked us, would we be open to overseeing the LA office as well, and then becoming BBH USA. And we said after some deep thinking, of course, we leaped at the opportunity. And so we consolidated the offices. And the way we look at it is that we're BBH USA. And the only difference is where you happen to sit on that particular day. Because one thing that COVID has greatly taught all of us is, we have to be fluid. And we want to make sure that everyone still feels a sense of community. And so we have people that sit in the LA office, but they collaborate and work on projects with the New York team and vice versa. And it also is a great benefit because we have clients such as Barbie and Mattel that would like to have boots on the ground in market. So it's really the perfect paradigm for us. And I would be remiss to say, out of BBH LA, we have our entertainment division that is actively engaged in several co-branded projects with our clients. So it's a win-win across the board.
So now that you're through that part and that transition, what's next for BBH? What's the focus for the second half of 2022?
As I mentioned, we stood in front of the agency back in the end of the beginning of 2021. And in the spirit of our founders, Bardo Bogle and Hegarty, who actually adopted the strapline from the iconic Levi's ad for black denim jeans, "When the world zigs, zag," we took a cue from their playbook and adopted the tagline from our PlayStation work that greatness awaits. And so we stood in front of the agency and said greatness awaits and used that as our North Star. And it was an amazing year, 2021 for us. We
What
got
do you,
louder.
what does greatness mean to you? What did you envision that meaning when you said that?
It's really staying true to our core values. It's putting the work first. As John Hegarty has always said, all roads lead to the work. So it's putting that creative excellence at the forefront of everything that we do. And once we realigned and it did exactly that, it made all the difference for us. And so the results, were quite outstanding. We won over 48 industry awards. We became a presence in press and mainstream press as well as industry press. And we diversified our agency. So as we walked boldly into 2022, again, we're an agency of Black sheep that believes that we are standing on the shoulders of giants with John Bartle, John Hegarty, and Nigel Bogle. And with that comes great responsibility. And that responsibility to us is to honor our illustrious legacy as we shepherd the agency forward. So this year is really about sustaining greatness. And I have to say, being recognized as one of Ad Age's A-list and creativity standout agencies of the year was exactly the validation that we needed at the beginning of the year to say we're on the right track. Let's just continue to stay in growth mode, stay extremely focused, focus on our talent, our diversity efforts, our amazing clients and partners, because we're playing the long game here.
Let's talk about that talent for a bit. BBH has grown substantially over the past year. Can you talk about efforts to build a more diverse team and the strategy around that?
It's so important to us. I mean, we're the agency of Black sheep who believe in the power of difference to make a difference. And in order for us to really stand behind those words, to stand tall on that saying, we needed to make room for diverse voices to be at the virtual or physical table. And that's exactly what we did. It was all about being intentional. And once you start being very intentional in how you approach pretty much everything, it's very eye-opening and it's a game changer. I mean, I can sit here and tell everyone that we are proudly 50% diverse in race. We have an agency that is 54% female in the creative department. That's virtually unheard of in today's industry. And those are stats that we're proud of, but the road is young. We have a lot of more work to do, but we are very intentional. We have logged in hundreds of hours of DE&I training. We have this incredible DE&I task force and a DE&I leadership council that I sit on and Hoffa sits on and other members of the leadership team. We're also a part of organizations. I sit on the 4A's DE&I steering committee. We've also partnered with Matheson, who's been a long-standing partner of ours. And we also joined forces with the 4A's and VML, Y, and R for their Dear Black Talent initiative. And our BARN program, which is our summer internship program, last year was 72% diverse. So again, it's all about being intentional, taking the moment to uncover potential unconscious biases that may exist. And that's all through the work that we've been doing with various instructors and programs. We just want to do better and be better. But again, you can't believe in difference if difference is not at the table.
How are you thinking about retaining talent? So you're hiring and you're diversifying with the new hires, but amid this, so-called great resignation, how do you also ensure that the people, once they do come on board, feel a culture of belonging and you work to sort of retain that talent? What's that work look like?
It's been very, very challenging. I think if anyone says it hasn't been, they're just not being authentic and honest. Working virtually is extremely hard. I mean, I onboarded virtually. it was probably one of the hardest jobs I've ever had to face. And I know I'm not alone because I'm one of many, many executives and people who have onboarded a new job during COVID. But it is our responsibility to try to uncover any and every opportunity to foster and protect culture. BBH has a very, very strong culture. We are rooted in being good and nice. And that doesn't mean that we're pushovers, because we're not, but we want to work in an environment where everyone is respected, where all voices are heard. So we've put a lot of initiatives together. We have wellness initiatives, called, well, it used to be internal meeting free Wednesdays, and we just changed it to internal meeting free Thursdays. And little initiatives like that really make the difference. And the reason why we changed it is because we're constantly communicating directly with every single Black sheep at the agency. We run polls, we talk to people, we ask people how they're feeling, and we make instant change. We also try to create an environment where you want to show up virtually or in person to work every day. During our all agency meetings, because I come from a music background, I was like, every meeting should start with music. So we have guest DJs. So everyone in the agency can volunteer to be a guest DJ.
I love that.
And we start the meeting with their favorite song. And just last week, one of our new hires played a jam from the SOS band. And it was just, I mean, people were dancing in their seats. It was just the best way to start the day.
I think I
And you
want to
also
adopt.
get to
I think I want to adopt that one. That sounds like
come
fun.
on, listen, listen, there's room for all of us. There's room for all of us to learn and grow from each other. And then we have BBH Happiness Days, where the last Friday of every month, we just say, that's your happiness day. Go do something, check out, no work. And we also have unlimited PTO. And so we encourage people and basically hound them to take that personal time off. But what's really important when you start bringing in diverse voices, you really want to make sure that you're not just ticking a box. Yeah, hiring diversity is important, but you also want to create an environment where diverse people can grow and feel community. And so we really lean into trying to connect and make sure that each person feels supported, that they have an outlet, a safe space to go to if they have any issues or concerns that they want to talk to. So it's really about being intentional and trying to lean in. And I think it's most important to say it's a work in progress.
So I
Every day we
heard,
just try to do better and be better.
so I heard that you are a knitter. Do you bring in your knitting to your wellness days?
I knit, yes, I love knitting. I started knitting when I was recovering from a procedure a couple of years ago, and I was bored to tears, so I just picked up knitting, and it's just my meditation. And we're just now starting to get back into an office environment. So yes, I will be bringing my knitting, and I will also be bringing my acoustic guitar to play during downtime.
That's the DJ, the music that you could start your
That's
meeting
right. It's
with.
close to my heart.
I'm Janine Poggi. I'm here with Amani Duncan, CEO of BBH USA. Thank you to those of you who are watching at home. We have David and Alexis and Amanda, Akram, Nurjamal, and Laura. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as a reminder, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them on our social channels. We'll try to bring them into this conversation. So we're talking about internal diversity and sort of how you're building a culture internally. But how about how you're working with clients and ensuring that the work that you're doing and the relationship with clients also speaks to those DE&I principles?
It's so interesting because it's just core to who we are. I remember sitting recently at a meeting. We had one of our first in-person client meetings with Google. And we just brought in everyone who was working or would be working on an upcoming project. And I was sitting at the back of the room, just looking at everyone around the table. And I was filled with such a sense of pride because the room was so diverse. Even people that were virtual on the screen, it was just a beautiful representation. And I just said, wow, we don't need to curate this. I've been a part of companies where I had to be that person in the room to represent diversity. And that doesn't feel good for anyone. Um, and to be able to be at a company where we don't need to curate or cast anything. We just show up and it's beautifully diverse. Um, and our clients, they notice. And I think they come to us because of that. We've made a mark for ourselves. We tend to call ourselves cultural architects because of the work that we're doing. And I've heard a lot of people say, sometimes it's one project that can change the trajectory for an agency. For us at BBH, it was two projects. It was Google's Black Owned Friday and the Glass Ceiling Breaker work.
Yeah.
And those two projects really changed everything for us.
Let's start with the Google Black Owned Friday. We have a little clip to show, and we could talk a little bit more about that.
Would love to.
You can get that black. You can get that black. Whatever you need, you can get that black.
As Black Friday approached, we wanted to tell people that whatever they're shopping for,
you can get that black.
And look how easy Google makes it. Their badge shows you what's a Black-owned business. So we brought back Black-owned Friday, turning a day of mindless spending into a chance to support our Black communities. We partnered with some amazing small business owners. Oh, and
can you talk more about how that all came together and what you've seen as a result since?
It's just, I cannot stop smiling. It is our pride and joy. It's literally the first campaign that the new leadership team and the new BBH New York at the time put out there for the world to see. It was a proactive idea. It was based on such a simple truth. During that time, COVID was raging and small businesses were so greatly impacted, especially Black-owned businesses, by 41%. So we thought, wow, we really need to do something. And what better partner than going to Google and tapping into their helpfulness platform. And Black-owned business was born. Black-owned Friday was born. What we see right now is actually year 2, which we were so blessed and lucky to have the opportunity to continue this good work with our valued partners at Google for another year. It was just a dream come true. We the first project was with Wyclef John, incredible partner, and Ari Lennox, and we literally had 6 to 7 weeks to pull it off. It was the first phone call I made when I joined BBH at the end of September of 2020, and we had the meeting 2 weeks later in October, and 6 weeks later on Black Friday, this was born. It was just a labor of love. It really was. And so to be able to up the ante the following year in 2021 and bring in T-Pain and Normani and have them create this original song. And then we also took it up a level and incorporated over 150 small Black-owned businesses to be a part of the experience, and created a microsite where everything that was featured in the video was from a Black-owned business. And then you could go to the microsite and shop the video. It was just simply incredible, and results are amazing. We just won a Gold Andy for this work, and we're so proud of it. And from that, like John Hegarty says, all roads lead to the work. From that piece of work, we went into Glass Ceiling Breaker, which was just the most amazing project that died a million deaths, to be quite honest.
Let's take a look at it. We could talk more about it.
Wonderful.
Kamala Harris has been immortalized in a massive sheet of glass.
The National Women's History Museum unveiled this portrait of Harris at the Lincoln Memorial today.
The so-called glass ceiling breaker
is meant to symbolize the first female vice president breaking the glass ceiling.
A Swiss artist named Simon Berger used a hammer to painstakingly create tiny cracks of the glass.
Visitors are saying that it looks like magic and that it represents hope.
How did that all come together?
Oh, it's just I mean, I've seen this so many times and I still get choked up every time I watch it. Like I mentioned earlier, it was a project that died a million times. Just to cut to the chase, this was a project that our incredible CCO, Hafa Rizzuto, and the creative team came up with. And we brought in two incredible partners, Chief and the National Women's History Museum. And it was supposed to go live, uh, you know, on the Washington Monument during the inauguration. And then we all know what happened. And people got scared, the idea of the insurrection with all the broken glass. And here we are presenting something, which was just a beautiful homage to our incredible glass ceiling breaker, Vice President Harris. People got scared. And I'll never forget the co-founder of Chief, Lindsay Kaplan, during a very intense phone call said, "No, we're not going to retreat. They cannot and will not take this from us. We are glass ceiling breakers." And we just rallied and had it on display. And it just has touched so many lives and continue to have such amazing impact on so many people. And from that work, not only did we get more work and staying true to our North Star of greatness awaits, we also, the floodgates for talent were open. And so many amazing, talented creatives and strategists and account management people wanted to be a part of the Agency of Black Sheep. And so it did so much for us and really set the agency on the trajectory that we're now experiencing, this fast-moving train that we're doing everything we can to not slow down.
So let's zoom out a little bit and on a larger scale, how would you categorize the diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts of the industry over the last 2 years? What progress have you seen made and what do you think really needs to happen next?
I'm new to this industry, and as most people are finding out, I'm not from the industry. I've zagged into many different industries throughout my career, so I liken myself to be a forever student. And so I'm still learning and uncovering the all of the efforts that are being made, the plans that are being put in place in the advertising industry to bring more diversity to the forefront. There's a lot, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of key organizations. We Are Hugh is one of them, Matheson, the 4As, like everyone is leaning in. So for anyone to say like, they can't find talent or they can't find the tools and the resources, I would just share like, you're not being intentional enough, because I've uncovered in a very short period of time a plethora of resources that I can lean into, that the agency can lean into, that others can lean into, to do better and be better. And we have to be the change that we seek. So we have to be intentional with our efforts. And so it really is a call to action, I think, to all the leaders of agencies in the United States and worldwide, that we need to be more intentional in our efforts. We need to not just talk about it, but walk the walk and show people what your boardroom looks like. Show people what your creative and your account management and your strategy departments look like. Pull back that, pull back the rope, pull back, the velvet curtain, and show people, be more transparent, and then be intentional about it. Making change really has to start at the top. And so, that's why we at BBH, we have a DE&I leadership council. It has to start at the top, because if we aren't walking the walk and talking the talk, and if we aren't being intentional, then how could we expect anyone to believe or want to be a part of what we're trying to promote? So what I can say is that there's always room to do better. There's a lot of incredible initiatives out there, like Dear Black Talent, that agencies can really lean into. All I can say is when we brought diverse voices to the table, it made all the difference. it made all the difference in our culture and in our work and in our relationships, not just with each other, but with our clients.
So
But there's still a lot more work to do.
you mentioned having, first in-person client meeting with Google. We're talking about having some people in the office, some people virtual. What is your predictions for the future of work? How do you expect the industry to work moving forward?
I wish I could, I wish I knew. I mean, I think we all have to continue to be fluid. I know personally that, for us and BBH and for myself, we're craving interaction. We're craving to be around each other, to see our clients in person, and vice versa. I think we've lost a little bit of that emotional intelligence and human connection being behind these screens. But with that being said, we also need to remain flexible because we don't know what we don't know. And even though some people are having fatigue, I mean, we all have Zoom fatigue, there has been some great benefits from the remote working. And so what we're doing is adopting the good parts and marrying that with the the hybrid of coming back into the office. Our intention is to be back into our office space 3 days a week, which will be Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I'm in my office right now. I'm in the VBH office right now, and we have a soft open. We encourage everyone, in LA and in New York to come. The office is open, swing by. It's a beautiful space. Get familiar with it. We really need to relearn how to work with each other again, in a physical way, in person. Especially for me, I onboarded online. I'm just now meeting a lot of my team members in person, and so we're really getting to know each other in a different way, now that we're in person.
And as you think about that hybrid model, how do you ensure equity in a hybrid work environment for people who perhaps might need to lean more into that flexibility, people who, whether for caring for a parent or a child or for various reasons might need to use that flexibility more? How do you ensure that they still have a voice at the table?
Constant communication. I'm very lucky that we have created a safe space where people do speak up, and for those who may not feel like speaking up in public, we also provide, a forum for them to do it online. We're constantly polling and talking to the agency, taking various temperature checks to make sure how everyone is feeling. And we also have a plethora of resources available to everyone, to lean into in case they need some additional support. We want to make this feel good for everyone. And one size does not always fit. So we've been very open and fluid to adjusting how people interact with each other and show up for each other.
How are you thinking about travel and getting back to events with Cannes coming up in a few short months? How are you thinking about plans for Cannes?
Yes, well, we are going to attend. I am a jury president, and Hapa will be joining me in Cannes as well. So at this moment, we will be attending, and we just have to do it safely. It's a, we're taking all the necessary precautions, and we're moving with care, but we're going to get back into it. I attended an awards gala recently. So, it's a brave new world. And so we're trying to do this smartly and with intention and with care and caution. I don't think anyone wants to be reckless. And, at the end of the day, if it doesn't feel good to you, don't show up.
Yeah. What is
we need to
agency of people that you'll be bringing with you? What does that look like?
Small.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's where the intention comes in. It will be curated very small. We're not going to bring a huge contingency of people. That almost feels irresponsible at this point. So it'll just be a handful of us that will be down in Cannes this year.
Before I let you go, we're running out of time, but I do want
Oh
to do a little
no!
future looking. One thing
Yes.
that we've been spending some time looking at, as the agency world is, as well as the movement of Web3 and the metaverse in the agency world. How will BBH look to operate in the metaverse? What kind of opportunities do you see there?
I mean, talk about brave new world. Just really quickly, we're cautiously leaning in like everyone else. We have an exciting game with one of our partners that'll be coming out in the next couple of months on Roblox that we're very excited with, and it's attached to a Grammy Award-winning artist. And we're educating ourselves like everyone else. I mean, the Web3 is a real thing. We've passed Web 1, we've passed Web 2.0, and now we're dealing with Web 3. And so, our movement and our approach with our clients and internally is no different than any other agency. We are educating ourselves. We are attending workshops. We're learning, and we're all holding hands and entering gracefully into this brave new world, which is the future. I don't know if I want to be in the metaverse in an office environment, but I don't know. We'll see. I sit on Meta's Creative Global Council, and there was a whole workshop about it. And people are exploring, and as we should be. The only thing constant in life is change. So we have to be brave about it, but careful.
Amani, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This has been lovely.
And you can read all about all of Ad Age's A-list winners by going to adage.com/A-list 2022. As always, thank you to our Ad Age crew, Lauren Ciardio, Arabella Breck, and Anna Sakula for helping to make this live stream happen. Thank you everyone for tuning in.